Hello and welcome to NewsClick. Today we have with us eminent academic Professor Gopal Guru, who teaches at the Center for Political Studies in Jawaharlal Nehru University. We will be talking to him about the recent escalation in the so-called Ghar Wapasi or reconversion campaigns of the RSS and its affiliates like VHP and the Dharm Jagriti Samiti, the DJS. Welcome, Professor Guru. It's great to have you with us on NewsClick. Now, Professor, this whole Ghar Wapasi campaign or so-called reconversion has been on the RSS agenda right from the beginning. However, we find that over the last few months, particularly since the ascendancy of the Narendra Modi government, there has been a stark ascendancy, be it Agra or the planned Ghar Wapasi in Aligarh and in several parts of North India. How would you see this?
Reconversion is possible only with the ascendancy to power. If there is no ascendancy to power, the conversion is slow. It means that any party requires or any organization requires political power to really accelerate the so-called Ghar Wapasi or reconversion. It is Ghar Wapasi and patronage go hand in hand. You have to have patronage in order to achieve Ghar Wapasi. Therefore, political power, power of distribution, power of patronage becomes so important in terms of achieving some kind of success in Ghar Wapasi, and that's why you find acceleration. Acceleration, I don't see that it is really very profound and very wide scale. It is this symbolic, and that symbolic is becoming acceleration because of the media coverage and high profile presence of these people who are actually seeking Ghar Wapasi in the media. Therefore, though it is basically symbolic, but it looks like as if it is acceleration. It is happening on a very great scale or large scale, but that I don't think is the case.
Professor, what was also very interesting, particularly in the case of Agra, is that several of those who were reportedly reconverted actually later told others that they were promised BPL cards, better ration facilities, better education facilities, etc. Now, this is at a time when we also know that the BJP government has singularly failed to deliver even any kind of tokenism on the question of social welfare. What kind of a relationship do you think is there between a state on the one hand, which avowedly, openly is rolling back social welfare, public welfare, and these kind of initiatives which hold out SOPs, basic facilities, as an incentive to convert to another religion?
I think you are raising a very important point. And what is the relationship between the welfare state and certain policy regimes and policy measures that are undertaken in the policy regime and with those people who are the marginalized people. The marginalized are centrally connected to the state and welfare state because they are the citizens of this country. They are not religious entities or identities. They are basically citizens. Citizens are above any religion. They are citizen, as we all know, is a secular category, a very modern category, and citizens actually get some kind of rights against the state. So patronage is the wrong word. I mean, citizens have a right. Those citizens who are marginalized have a right to get the share of the benefits of the development. Therefore, I think when somebody is actually introducing, some government introducing schemes, that government has to introduce schemes in keeping in view the rights of citizens. It is not some kind of charity or some kind of patronage, some kind of mehrbani. So when they have some legitimate rights against the state, and that rights need to be interpreted in terms of the rights of the citizen, not the rights of any religious entity. Therefore, mixing of Ghar Wapasi with welfare would be a gross mismatch between the two of them. Actually, this is therefore Ghar Wapasi becomes an ideological framework within which you want to benefit certain people in the name of religion, not in the name of citizenship rights.
That's very interesting what you pointed out, particularly because when each time there was an escalation or each time there was a highly visible Ghar Wapasi campaign and there was understandably resistance from the democratic sections, the typical response of the BJP would be, then fine, let's institute an anti-conversion law. This was their typical response. So how would you look at the whole question of the anti-conversion law?
Anti-conversion laws will exist only on the basis that we have very, very technical conversion. You have documents of conversion, you have marriage certificates, and all those documentary evidences are there. Then only you can prove that there is a conversion, and that conversion will also be technically viable, legally viable. So anti-conversion will be very, very it will not be very effective, it will be less effective, because many people may not really provide certificates. I just find out how many people really register their marriages. Most of the marriages take place outside the formal framework. It becomes a technical issue or a legal issue only when it is actually implicated in the court of law, emerging from some disputes. But by and large, people get converted so informally, informally, and without, it's always a private matter in a way. People don't convert announcing people that we are converting. To what extent this anti-conversion law will be effective, I am really very doubtful about it. So anti-conversion law is one instrument in the hands of any state to really control. And the second question, why should somebody control the conversion? Because if conversion is the matter of normative choices that people make, sometimes it is material. But this conversion was never, it was not, it didn't result from the material attraction. It was actually a normative choice people made very, very consciously, and that's why we find that in the modern history of conversion, you find 4-5 lakh people getting converted into Buddhism in Nagpur. So they made choices out of normative concern, normative need. They wanted to adopt certain values to themselves of equality, fraternity, and justice. And so it is not out of compulsion people convert, it's most of the time out of conviction. I think it is anti-conversion will be only a very, very rhetorical device that they will really, anybody will adopt to really control.
Professor, since you've brought up the whole question of a normative choice, and you also referred to Baba Saheb Ambedkar and the way he's looked at conversions, there has been no talk whatsoever from any section of the Sangh Parivar of the need for social reform. How would you look at that? In the sense, when you're saying that people who have left the religious fold, according to you, should come back, there should at the same time be some introspection to get your own house in order.
That's the whole question. And which house are we talking about? The house which is in order, which is actually bound by a normative order. Which house are we talking about? Any religion which is liberal will always go for self-introspection and provide grounds for asking for reconversion. We are expecting people to, and those people who are interested in Ghar Wapasi, to offer some grounds that would convince us to support their case. But there is no ground to say that we have a better choice. We are offering, offering in a very market sense of offering a better normative option to you. Please come over. Have you seen any of these leaders offering this ground that our religion is the best religion in the country, and so you must come back? Why would people come back? Unless you give them some pecuniary benefits. And that's one small aspect of the whole thing. But people also make these are all very difficult choices, very important choices that they make. These are all normative choices. If it is a choice of utilitarian type, then it is very easy to make choice. It is a market situation. But it's not a market situation. Conversion is not a market situation at all. People take a lot of time to really convert, and they find it so competing to take one religion against another. Normative concern really influence the choices of the people, and choice is not the right word. It motivates them to go into or adopt any religion or embrace any other religion, like New Buddhism of Baba Saheb Ambedkar.
If you look at the entire Sangh discourse on the question of conversion, Mohan Bhagwat says that initially, all were Hindus and people were converted either by sword or, because of certain allurements which were given out by, say, Christian missionaries, and that's why people have converted. There is this entire thread running through that religious choice cannot be an individual moral choice. Right? That is on the one hand. On the other hand, we find that the whole question of how science developed in India is being completely distorted. We are being told that the fact that Ganesha, the mythical figure, has the head of an elephant was an achievement of ancient Indian science. Now, these two things, on the one hand attacking individual moral choice, and on the other distorting the question of the history of science, scientific temperament. Do you see a connection between these two?
I think when the science will always support the individual creativity, individual efforts to invent things, and science will always really expect people to really enjoy their autonomy, their freedom, to have a very creative mind. The life of mind will always be celebrated by the mood of science. The science is so important for really protecting, anticipating the individual autonomy. And therefore, I think there is a connection between individual autonomy and the progress of science, and this is historically proved by people in this country and people in the West as well, everywhere. If you introduce something which is not science, which is not rational, which is not scientific, which is not which is difficult to be proved on the scientific lens, then I think it what you really require, when you fail in terms of providing autonomy, in terms of accepting autonomy and also connecting this autonomy to the question of science, then you require something else to prove that science was there. You make some irrational or historical claims. You are not in a position, your politics does not allow you to really appreciate individual autonomy. And so individual autonomy and science, there is a corresponding link between the two, but you rupture that link because you have no proper argumentations, no force of argument, no force of any kind of truth claims to accept this connection between the autonomy and science. And since there is no, you are not providing any truth claim, you are not providing any theory to prove this, your justification comes outside theory, outside reason, outside rationality.
Thank you so much, Professor Guru, for sharing your views with us on NewsClick. This is a very pressingly important issue, and whenever such complex socio-political issues arise, we hope that we will have your guidance, we will have your views, Professor Guru. Thanks again from NewsClick.